Page and Gutierrez, Torrey, and McMullen. Hello, Jackie. Today, digestion, indigestion, regurgitation, and passing gas. Let's go around the horn.
Arguably the most accurate thing you've ever said.
Okay.
I don't have really any reaction to our owner commented on it yesterday, and it's only been 30 hours, so I haven't had much time to digest it fully.
When do you plan to address this publicly?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. There's still a process that's going forth right now. I'll certainly want to be very comfortable in how I feel about the statements that I make.
Woody, you're very comfortable. You've had time to digest everything in the last 48 hours. Should Tom Brady have said more last night?
I don't think so, because I don't think the question was asked that I wanted answered. And I still will say it. What did you know and when did you know it? People keep saying, were you involved in deflating balls at the game? No, I'm sure he wasn't. He was part of the overall conspiracy, I believe, and that wasn't asked of him last night. Jim Gray didn't go down that line, so I didn't hear anything at all that changed my mind about any aspect of this case. What we got instead is his agent, Yee, out trying to represent him everywhere, saying, oh, he had no involvement. I want to hear him address the media. And
how do you think Brady came off last night, Woody?
Great to that crowd, because that was a crowd that was set up. I'd love to have a crowd.
And to everybody else, to Roger Goodell specifically?
I don't think anybody was changed by any decision they have by what he said.
Israel, how about you?
I don't know if this is how he came off, but I get the feeling that Tom Brady's pretty angry about this because people are trying to affect his legacy or his standing in the game and everything else. And when you look at his performances after that, after the first half of the AFC Championship and in the Super Bowl, I think it goes without question that in the long term, you can't really argue that this affects his legacy, but you can sort of create sort of a shadiness, I guess you will, around Tom Brady. You can sort of break the imperfection, if you will. I think yesterday, it's obvious 30 hours, like he hasn't had a decision or hadn't made a decision on how he feels about it within 30 hours. He's clearly upset about it, but he wants to just sort of let it flesh out a little bit and take his time because you know what? The league took their time with the investigation.
But he hasn't had 30 hours, guys, right? He's had 100 days and 30 hours.
Well,
Pablo, how do you think Brady came off yesterday?
I mean, Brady came off like somebody with something to hide, I think. And by the way, the text messages were first to market, so there's no undoing. There's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube. We're not going to make America forget that there's a guy whose nickname is the Deflator, which is just incredible for so many reasons. But what you can do is take that Ted Wells report and realize there are about 100 pages at the end that nobody read, which is the science of it. How much does this actually potentially matter? If Tom Brady wanted to come out yesterday and focus on, look, what happened, whatever happened, the act of deflating footballs is not that big of a deal in the context of the game of football. That's a more convincing argument.
So if you're Brady, you would admit, maybe, or you would at least acknowledge that the effect it had was not so great.
It would be a bold move, but the latter thing you said, the effect it had not being substantive, is the biggest redemption that Tom Brady can hope for at this point.
And Jackie Mack, your view of it all?
Well, and I think Tom Brady will get to that in due time, Pablo. And I thought last night he was in a very, very friendly environment. He fed off that, as he would have, because it's been very unfriendly everywhere outside our area code, in my area where I live right now. I think the reason he's waiting, and I don't blame him, is he doesn't know what the punishment is yet, if there's any punishment at all, and I think there will be. I think everybody on this panel agrees with that. Why, if you're Tom Brady, would you say anything about this report till you'll know what's going to happen to you from the commissioner of the NFL?
But the way he said nothing yesterday, Jackie, do you think that gets to Goodell in some way? You think it changes the way he's viewing it all?
Absolutely not. This was the wrong setting for Tom Brady to make his case.
Woody Page?
Well, I've read the report. He had time to read the report. I'm sure he reads better than me. I went to Tennessee. And the point is, I think that he's got people out there, his father, his agent, that are saying things and saying he had no involvement. If he's going to let them do it, why doesn't he speak for himself? He needs to defend himself.
As time goes by, does that mean the punishment's going to be worse or better for Brady? From Goodell. Go ahead, Israel.
I don't know if there will be a punishment, to be honest, because what hard evidence do they have of Tom? It's more probable than not. We all see that. I don't know if there should be a punishment.
There will be a punishment because Roger Goodell loves nothing more than non-criminal punishments to protect the integrity of the shield.
We're going to move on now to talk about a Golden Boy athlete. Alex Rodriguez. Curtain call yesterday for home run number 661. He said he thought his days of curtain calls were over. Israel, what'd you make of the A-Rod curtain call and this revival he's having in New York?
I mean, look, it's the only embraceable part of A-Rod that we've seen in years and years and years. Seemingly he's clean, he's recovered, and the fans in New York are saying to themselves, okay, this part of the A-Rod story we can be a part of. And I like what A-Rod said afterward, too, about a year ago today, never thinking this was
Pablo?
possible.
This is not the A-Rod of old. This is not the A-Rod who allegedly is shooting himself up with PEDs. This is not the A-Rod with the centaur portrait above his mantle. This is not the A-Rod who's out there kissing himself in the mirror. This is I'm not entirely sure, but probably. This is the A-Rod of no expectations. This is the A-Rod who's been antagonized by a franchise that itself is making itself more unlikable by antagonizing him. This is a comeback story for suddenly a guy who's been humbled, and that's something that all New Yorkers
Are you surprised that the fans are in some way choosing the player? They're not choosing the player over the team, but they're choosing the player here, Pablo.
It's so much more fun to root for this version of A-Rod. That's what we're seeing.
Jackie Mack.
Yeah, we're seeing the humble A-Rod. I would submit it's a fake humble A-Rod, but that's okay. It's playing. He knows it's playing well. It never occurred to him to be humble before. It's amazing how far that will take him. And as for the fans only care about one thing. We've heard it a million times. Fans always come up to you and say, what's this player like? What's that player like? And I always say, you don't want to know. And they don't want to know. They just want production. If you produce, they want to love you. They don't want to hear the noise. They don't want to know the bad things about you. So for now, in this very small capsule, they don't have to.
But you said you think it's fake. I mean, you spent some time with A-Rod recently, Jackie, correct?
Well, I was at the game Sunday, and he's doing all the right things. It's just hard to believe anything he does right now.
And Woody Page?
It's just...
Well, I think the fans are going to track themselves to him because the Yankees are 3 games ahead. He's playing pretty well. They have gone through Giambi's time when he apologized. They've gone through Andy Pettit. They've gone through Roger Clemens. They've gone through A-Rod. I think they're just accustomed to it. In San Francisco, they cheered Barry Bonds.
So you're saying it's better because he's hitting home runs?
Yeah, to your point, Jackie, though, he still needs a charisma bypass operation. This is not working for him.
So, okay, so you think he's faking it a little bit, too. Okay. I mean, it's possible he's been through a lot and he's just moved on with his life. Seems like not everybody's willing to move on. Basketball now. And Chris Paul's status for tonight, similar to his status Game 2 and Game 1, questionable. Doc Rivers said he worked out in a pool yesterday. Pablo, they don't play NBA playoff games in pools. If you're running the Clippers, how do you approach tonight?
I approach it very cautiously. The hamstring is something that you do need to take hour by hour. And the good news is that Blake Griffin is playing like some mutated version of Oscar Robertson, probably the best player in the NBA postseason so far. You have Austin Rivers, who against all reason and prediction is somehow not a black hole at point guard for about 25 minutes a night.
If he can stay on his feet.
Yes, provided.
Okay.
But 16-point win followed by a 6-point loss. I think I play out the string with Chris Paul.
Okay, Jackie, how about you?
It's a month left in the postseason.
Pablo's saying sit Paul tonight. How about you?
I'll be shocked if Chris Paul sits in this game tonight. There was talk about him playing in Game 2, and now he's had a few extra days to get even healthier. And you're right, Pablo, what you say about Blake Griffin. But here's the danger with Chris Paul out. He's playing so many minutes. By the time he gets to the fourth quarter, he looks exhausted to me in every game.
You're talking about Blake Griffin, yeah.
I am. And at some point, that's going to catch up with him and the Clippers. But if CP3's out there, distributes the ball, maybe you can distribute minutes a little better.
Woody, how about you?
Jackie, CP, no 3. Don't play in the third game. You are looking at the big picture of the playoffs. You were in both games. You won one of them in Houston. You were in it until the second half in Houston. I think you can win at home without him. You've proven it before in the playoffs. You've got to look at a situation. You want him in Game 6. You want him in Game 7. You don't want him being a Willis Reed.
Would you say the Clippers have the advantage going into tonight, even without Chris Paul, Woody, because they're at home?
Sure, they're going home. They've been extremely successful at home. I think that they've got the confidence that they split on the road.
Would you say that?
Yeah, no, I think they need him. I think they need him more than these guys are saying that they do. But the other problem with that is you look at the possibility of him not playing and say, okay, well, maybe he'll be available in the next game. This hamstring might not be healthy this entire series. So you kind of maybe want to use him while you can. That's something you have to.
What do you got winning tonight, Israel?
Because it might take 6-7 games. I got the Rockets.
Pablo?
Clippers.
Jackie?
I'm going to take the Rockets.
Page?
Clippers.
One thing none of you really addressed. I mean, the hamstring's a question mark. So are the fingers. Pruned fingers after time in the pool. We're taking a break right now. Buy or sell next. Coming up, whether the Florida Gators just hired the next Billy Donovan or Ned Schneebly from School of Rock. Yeah. Stick around. Or is it Ned Schneebly?
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Buy or sell.
In one offseason, the Dallas Cowboys bringing in Greg Hardy, Randy Gregory, Lyle Collins. Details as reported of Collins and what went down. A feel-good dinner attended by Collins and his mom and Jerry Jones, Garrett, Romo, Witten, and others, where Collins stood up and spoke unscripted for 20 minutes. It all left Jerry weeping at the press conference yesterday. What he's seeing and hearing, everything that went down, where do you stand on the Collins-Cowboys pairing?
I think it's high risk, high reward, and that's a decision they made, trying to do everything to get the Super Bowl. I think that Jerry Jones is not only the owner, the general manager, now he's a judge. He said after Collins spoke, he didn't do anything wrong. He had nothing to do with it. But on the other side, I talked to the beat writer for the Baton Rouge Advocate, Ross Dellinger. He told me this was a good kid. He didn't cause any problems there. He wasn't a clubber. He wasn't a problem kid for Les Miles, who tried to call, reached out to the commissioner of the NFL to tell him he's a good kid, and the commissioner wouldn't return his calls.
Reporting from Woody Page. Gutierrez, how about you?
Not sure how high of a risk it is, because according to reports coming out of Louisiana there, that maybe there isn't really that much tying him to the incident that they talked about. But if there's any risk involved, the Cowboys are on board. They're okay with it because they're all in this year. They're clearly taking risks with certain players, and we'll see if it works out. But right now, they're all in, that's for sure.
I think you just wish that moments of sympathy like that and tears were reserved for other forms of bravery. I mean, going undrafted because of this is terrible, but still, the context of it, right? And look, once you cross the Greg Hardy Rubicon, a lot becomes clear about what the Cowboys want out of this season and also what they're willing to tolerate and what they can tolerate, because Greg Hardy himself is his attraction for headlines.
And Jackie, can you address just seeing Jerry crying like that at the press conference first?
It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I think he's known Lyle Collins how long? About 12 hours or 14 hours or 3 days or a week. And I understand that he thinks this story is very dramatic, but I'm with Pablo on this. You lost me at Greg Hardy. You lost me maybe forever on Greg Hardy. And he's been suspended 10 games. I know they're going to appeal that. Sorry. Your tears are wasted on me.
Buy or sell two. Titans receivers Kendall Wright and Justin Hunter, after hearing the Titans pick Marcus Mariota at the team's draft party. Wright quotes, I have Zach Mettenberger's back, and I have Mariota's back. I have both of their backs. Mutual backing. But what you saw on video there, is he something or nothing?
Nothing. I mean, people are acting like he just had, put his thumbs down like this and booed the guy. I mean, receivers have connections with their quarterbacks, and maybe they fear a little bit of change, and they have no idea what Mariota is going to be. So it's a natural reaction.
It's a little bit something, but the most generous interpretation for those wide receivers, assuming that they wanted to back the guy who's the 6th-round pick who's clearly on his way out from the top spot of the depth chart, is they wanted to make that guy feel better. They wanted to make Zach Mettenberger feel better about this.
Jackie.
That is the most generous interpretation.
Yeah, and I actually like that about them, that they were backing the guy they know and that they've been in the trenches with. And if, in fact, one of them lost a $200 bet over this, that would make me slump down a little bit, too, even though I don't make quite as much money as they do. So I'll go along with that, too. I think it's a bit of nothing, frankly.
Woodrow.
Yeah. Pablo, you're into Rubicon. I'm into Genghis Khan. And I thought this was a Genghis Khan kind of moment where they just supported who they work with already. They want to see Mettenberg succeed, and so they just are backing him.
A Genghis Khan type performance. Okay. Khan was known for his support of the people he worked with. This is news to me. We'll move on. Buy or sell three. A coach with a 101-40 record, back-to-back-to-back NIT appearances, 0 NCAA tournaments as the next coach of Florida. Pablo, buy or sell Mike White as the hire for the Gators?
I buy him on the precondition that the Gators actually know what they're doing with hiring. They got Billy Donovan out of relative obscurity. Look, we didn't know Brad Stevens, we didn't know Shaka Smart before they became those guys. You got to start somewhere. I'm not going to blame the guy for being nobody just yet.
I'm going to buy it as well because you know why? This hire was done in such a short amount of time. There was no national search party with the board or everything. This is who Florida had targeted. They must have known Billy Donovan was thinking about jumping for a while, and they liked the credentials of the guy. And who are we to say that he can't do it?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I'm buying it also. He had turned down opportunities with Missouri and Tennessee. This was his opportunity to step back into the SEC. He played at Ole Miss. He was an assistant there. In the last 3 years, he's had one more regular season victory than Kentucky. Guy's got a nice resume.
Israel, you going to make this 4 for 4?
I wasn't even done mourning yet, and they've already hired this guy, who I don't know. But I didn't know Billy Donovan either. Jeremy Foley, basically, he hit a home run with Billy Donovan. He sort of looked for the same features in a young head coach and the style of basketball, and a guy who's got some kind of ties to Florida/the SEC seems to make all the sense.
Okay, I mean, the hope is now when you put Mike White's name into Google, he comes up and well, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised. Ned Schneebly, Mike White, the actor, writer, came up on Google. Ned Schneebly from School of Rock. Gutierrez, 10. First to go with last word.
You guys are just lucky I'm out of eliminations. You're welcome, Jackie.
Hey, Torrey McMullen lightning round next. Coming up, Randy Whitman's umbrage with the report that John Wall's upset with his doctors. Not related, but I think we could all agree it was a good thing Whitman wasn't the one looking at Wall's x-rays. Page 15, Torrey 15, McMullen 11. It's the lightning round.
What was reported today by Michael Lee is a flat-out lie about John clashing with doctors. That is so far from the truth. I've got to say something. All right, I don't want to hear anything else. Next question. Next question.
Woody Page, first question. Your reaction to Whitman's reaction.
I'm going to support the coach here. I think that the report was vague. It didn't have really strong sources, and I think there should have been further explanation. Next question, Tony.
Okay. The report did say clashed with doctors, and then Lee in a tweet said that meant an intense argument. Pablo, how do you see this?
Yeah, one of the things that I found problematic was that Randy Whitman couched this almost in a defense of John Wall being a hardworking kid as well. John Wall would be the person who is very frustrated if, in fact, this report has any substance. It kind of makes sense that Randy Whitman would defend his team doctors, but two opinions that failed to produce this injury by diagnosis.
Exactly. What do we know? There was a third opinion and then 5 fractures.
Reportedly a third. Exactly. Right. That's a big problem if I'm a player.
Right. So if you're John Wall and you're frustrated because you think something wrong, there is more wrong with your hand and you're not getting the answers that you want to hear, of course you're going to be frustrated. We can all decide what clashing means. I think there's a big, long spectrum there, what that can indicate.
Ever be called out by a coach, first name, last name, publication before?
Sure.
It happens. It does happen, okay? All right.
Yeah, all the time.
Jackie Mack, I do not call you out here. I just say we're going to move on without you. What's the last word?
Next question.
Pablo Woody, showdown straight ahead. We got balls. Some are scary. Some are worth showing your entire world for.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
A new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
It's showdown. Paige and Torrey, we're in it with Matt Barnes. According to Nick Wright, this is what he said to James Harden's mother in the stands. And now TMZ reporting Harden's mom has told him Barnes has apologized. What do you think something will come of this tonight on the court?
Sure, if I'm James Harden, I give him a little bit of the business during this game to make up. You do not talk to my mother that way. I don't think you talk to anybody's mother or a fan or anybody else with that kind of language.
Far be it from me to defend attacking verbally mothers, but look, James Harden, if he does that, is playing right into Matt Barnes' hands. Matt Barnes is the enforcer. He is the goon. If you do that, you're doing exactly what he's trying to get.
The reporting here is that Barnes said he didn't know it was Harden's mother. That doesn't change anything as far as the NBA. Then you're just cursing at a fan?
Not that much better.
Before we'll move on. Showdown 2. Delman Young robbing yesterday. But then Delman Young fearing yesterday. And then also this fan not fearing, imploding a beer, not getting the ball. Pablo, what are you going to remember?
I mean, the celebration that fan had right after belly flopping onto the beer, exploding the beer, exposing himself, and then triumphantly raising his arms as if this is a thing that I am proud of and I'm proud to be on national television for is something I will not
I was
forget.
a catcher for a long time growing up. I was always bat shy. Looks to me like Young is gun shy and also ball shy, but I will always remember a bad moon rising, and that's exactly what it was.
It's been a while for Woody Page. Let's take FaceTime in.
I want to talk about that Anna Jarvis in 1905 lost her mother. She started a campaign in this country to recognize all mothers. And in 1914, the government decided that there would be a Mother's Day that we'll be celebrating on Sunday. What president started that tradition? Woodrow Wilson. Thank you.
I knew it was getting back to Woodrow
Absolutely.
Wilson days.
I want to say happy Mom's Day to my mom who's not feeling well, and to all the moms of everybody connected with the show and everybody watching the show. Happy Mom.
All right. Miss Billy Page, you speak of, Margareta, Evita, Lourdes, and Madeline Reali. You know, I always say here that my mom was the one who invented the mute button. It was her baked ziti. Once she put it on the table, everybody shut up. Now I'm seeing a secondary mute button from Madeline Reali because she can turn Francesca off just by smiling at her. Love you, Mom. Thanks for coming around on a 71.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy Mother's Day.
Or Monday.
Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals. That one is gone. The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.